Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. We got a pretty big update on Valve and Steam. Valve is actually working on a brand new game. Unfortunately, it's not the kind of game that the majority of you probably want, but hey, Valve working on new games is better than nothing. And then Steam has also reached an incredible milestone. We'll actually kick off by talking about that, but after that, I also do want to cover Sega and their plans for PC gaming. Why I always like to cover Sega right now is because they are working on a lot of compelling games. Namely, of course, they're putting out the Yakuza games, but more recently, they have been putting out a lot of great stuff on PC. Catherine has been released on PC, Vanquish, Bayonetta, the Yakuza games. But the one game that I really want from them is Persona, most notably Persona 5. And there's a lot of rumblings with that game right now. That's getting a definitive version, the Royal Edition. And I would love to see that on PC, so we'll talk that at the end of this video. First, let's talk about Steam because it has reached an incredible milestone in the last 15 years. Steam, remember, was introduced all the way back in September of 2003. It has been growing pretty steadily, and it has reached the incredible milestone of 1 billion accounts. That is absolutely enormous. To put that into perspective, how many PlayStation 4 consoles have been sold? Like 90 million? 85 million? Steam as a platform has 1 billion accounts. Now, of course, I'm sure there are some people that have made like 20 or 30 different accounts. That's how ridiculous it is, because there are some people that, well, for whatever reason, they're playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive, they're playing Dota 2, maybe they got Vagman, who the hell knows? But nonetheless, they have reached 1 billion accounts, but the number that you have to really be aware of is the impressive sum of 90 million active users. Those are users that are regularly logging into Steam and actually utilizing Steam's features, and then there are also a reported 18.5 million peak concurrent users, so that is pretty incredible as well. Steam has really been growing over the last few years. That's when that notion of Steam killing PC gaming just arose. I was like, come on, man, do you know how many people were converted to PC gaming because of platforms like Steam, namely Steam, more so than any other platforms, just because it opened the floodgates for us to play so many different games and have ease of access to so many different games, and it just streamlined the entire experience so much. A lot of the other storefronts like an Origin or a Uplay really came after Steam reached the heights that it did, and they made a lot of the improvements based on a lot of the stuff that Steam did. And while I won't say that Steam has been a home run and Valve has done everything incredibly well with it, there have absolutely been issues, but it's been a lot more positive than negative with Steam when it comes to the entire health of PC gaming. Valve and Steam have done a tremendous job in just keeping PC gaming overall a lot healthier. Alright, but now begs the question, where does Valve go from here? They've got so many people buying games on Steam, they've got so many people registered to Steam, but what people really want is a new game from Valve. They have so many IPs that have just been forgotten about, whether it be Left 4 Dead, whether it be Team Fortress, whether it be Half-Life, the one that so many of you guys want, Left 4 Dead, Portal, and I can go on and on. They just have so many incredible IPs that if they did put out a Half-Life 3 or a Left 4 Dead 3 or a Portal 3, you know that those games would do incredibly well commercially. Unfortunately, right now it looks like Valve's priorities are all centered around the Valve VR headset in Valve Index. It looks like it's going to be $1,000, so that's going to be a quite hefty investment, especially considering you are going to need a really good gaming PC on top of the Valve Index. At least that's usually the case. The new headset and its flashy controllers will both be arriving in June. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like a big Valve VR game is going to come with it, which I think is a gigantic bummer. Even if you wanted to do a spin-off Half-Life title, if you are going to release Index for $1,000, you need something relatively compelling as a launch title, and not having that launch game, I just think that's a gigantic blunder. And for all of you guys that see the success that Valve created with Steam, do know that Valve has their problems. They have released products that haven't resonated all too much. Do I need to point to the Steam Machine? I uploaded videos about the Steam Machine. I think we tested games running on the Steam Machine way back when, and yeah, of course you guys know what happened to that platform. It was actually a pretty neat little device. However, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One even were just so much more compelling at the time, being the fact that they were cheaper and they had an exclusive lineup that probably was a little bit better than what you were finding in the Steam Machine. But nonetheless, for those of you guys that think Valve is bulletproof, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the success of Steam has made it seem like that's kind of the case, but that's not really how it goes. However, they did say that they are working on a new game to upload VR. The company told it will have a flagship game arriving in 2019. No word on exactly what that game is yet. Valve wants to keep the rumor mill spinning. Now, if it's a flagship game, it has to be something notable like one of those franchises I just mentioned. Portal, I think, would resonate so well in VR and translate so well as a VR title. I think that's a foregone conclusion that at some point Portal needs to make the transition to VR with a new Portal game. This isn't just about adding a VR component to Portal 2. I think a Portal game designed exclusively for VR and with with VR in mind, that could really be incredible. But that's just my 2 cents. If you really want to put Left 4 Dead or Half-Life, yeah, those games would be cool in VR, but it's not going to have the same effect as I think a Portal would. And I think that's the one IP that Valve does have at their disposal that would be absolutely incredible with VR. But I know for a lot of you guys, you don't even care about VR, and you just want to see Valve create a new game that can be played with regular controls. That's what I want to see, but I've been wanting to see that for the last few years. They've put out a couple games, Artifact, that just hasn't been the type of games that we want. I know why Valve is working on games like that. They see the long-term revenue generation that games like an Artifact have the potential to accrue. Keyword right there is potential. They have the potential to make a lot of revenue over time. Look at a game like Hearthstone. That game is incredibly successful and continues to generate Blizzard an enormous amount of money, but not every game is going to be like that. And with a game like a Half-Life 3 or a Portal 3, you're pretty much guaranteed for that game to sell a certain amount of copies and be very, very successful. Maybe it's a little bit more of a massive undertaking. I don't know the financial side of things. Maybe the risk of creating a game like an Artifact or a game that you can monetize for years on end, maybe that is more lucrative than Half-Life 3 or Portal 3 or Left 4 Dead 3. You would think that all three of those games would be incredibly successful and would coop up the financial cost to create those games, but what do I know? That's just my 2 cents. All we do know is that Valve's VR looks to be coming in June, and some sort of flagship VR title is also coming. I think Portal VR would be really cool, but for my money, I just want to see Valve get back on track and do something like a Half-Life 3. A Portal 3 without VR would be great as well, or a Left 4 Dead 3. Those are the games that I'm really interested in. And lastly, I do want to quickly note something about Sega. They are refocusing on existing IP and promises more PC ports. Specifically, they put out their fiscal year 2018 earnings and they weren't all too positive. It looks like it was down a little bit. As they said, quote, they fell significantly below the initial plan due to deterioration of business environment and lack of hit titles. Now, they did also note that the PC ports are doing rather well. Games like Catherine, games like Vanquish, Bayonetta, all the PC ports that they've been bringing out, Yakuza, of course, how could I not mention, they've been doing very well, and they actually noted that their plan going into the future is not to make PlayStation 4 exclusives, rather to create more multi-platform games, which I think is great. If we get a Persona 5 on PC, that is a game you can release on PC, and now that we have Catherine on PC, that is an Atlas-created game. I think the floodgates have been open for Persona to at some point come to PC, and I think that is a game that you could release at $59.99, especially if it's this new Royal Edition that is adding so much more content. That's the type of game you could release at $60, because Sega has been very, very conservative in how they price their games. Yakuza at $20, Vanquish was $20, I think Yakuza Kiwami 2 is at $30, and that's about to come out, but nonetheless, their games have been very conservatively priced. In the case of Persona 5, even if it was a case where, let's say they release Persona 5 in the fall and it's not even the Royal Edition, I think they can get away with pricing that at like $49.99. That's how compelled gamers are to play Persona on PC, and that's the one game, now that we have Halo, now that we have all of these other IPs, that's the one game from a third party that we really should see on PC. Of course, there's Red Dead Redemption 2, there's Kingdom Hearts 3, but Persona 5 to me ranks right up there with them, and Sega's putting out all of these games, man. We got Vanquish, Catherine, Bayonetta, Yakuza. Well, the one that's gonna generate the most revenue for you guys, it is absolutely Persona, and that's one that you can actually price at a heftier price point, and you can generate even more revenue that way. So hopefully at some point it will happen. I just think the game would do incredibly well from a sales standpoint, and based on their fiscal year 2018 earnings, they need to put out some smash hits, and a Persona 5 release on PC, yes, it's even just a re-release, but I think it would sell incredibly well and would definitely get them back on the right track. They did also note that instead of creating new IPs, they want to refocus on their established IPs like Persona, like Yakuza, and Sonic. Sonic is a great IP, but we need great Sonic games. That's always been the issue with Sonic, that the games have left a lot to be desired. There are great games like Sonic Generations, Sonic Mania, and there are some Sonic games that leave a lot to be desired. So we'll see how Sega goes. I just want Persona 5 on PC, and I do think at some point it'll happen. So that's gonna conclude this video. Again, I gave you guys some big updates on Valve and Steam. Steam reached a huge milestone in 1 billion accounts. Valve is working on a game, but it's a VR game, but they are saying it's a flagship title. Makes me think that it is a Portal title that will be on Valve Index and other VR platforms as well. And hopefully at some point Sega will be bringing Persona 5 to PC. That's gonna wrap up this video, guys. If you have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.